So tell me about this exhibit. There are 40 black and white photos here, right?
Yeah, this started almost 2.5 years ago, working with the San Diego Museum of Art, trying to put together a project that would fit in this space, that would showcase what the museum is about, which is showcasing African American culture. So we worked with California State University Northridge, who had some 23,000 images. And we culled through those images and got them into 4 categories: entertainment, lifestyle, sports, and civil rights.
And all of these photos are really from a specific time period. Tell me about that.
In my opinion, these really surround the changing of African American culture in the West Coast. In other words, you had the people coming back from World War II, those soldiers who felt like when they came back from fighting for the U.S., they should have a better shot at life. You had the people who were migrating from the South, coming north for jobs. You had the civil rights movement and the changes that affected people's culture. And then you also had just people living differently than they had been in earlier times.
So this is the sports wall here. Some of your favorite ones are on this wall. Tell me about them.
Well, in particular, I really enjoyed this image with Muhammad Ali and Stokely Carmichael. One of the things that the museum does is it does programming to bring people to come and see the event. And on September 13th, we're having a film called Agents of Change. And the reason that that's interesting and part of this exhibit is because in the late 60s, early 70s, there was a lot of strife in the schools. And a lot of times your struggles start with schools when you want to get something going. And so back then, the agents of change were students. And in my school, when I grew up, we also took over the school, and the National Guard was in the room with dogs next door in the gymnasium and guns and all that. And so Stokely Carmichael was the one who created black instead of African American. He coined that black power, was Stokely Carmichael. And so having these two together really represents really 2 different schools of thought. However, it's just important that you see them two and having a happy laugh, but behind both of them is such power, such history. It's why that means so much to me.
It's almost like this photo really captures the resilience and resistance. What do you hope people walk away with when they come to see this exhibit?
My hope is that, 1, they do and see the richness of our culture. 2, that they see that there's an organization that's here in San Diego, they don't have to go far, that brings in this type of work. And also just the beauty of our culture. I want to make sure that they see it and know that they can come to the San Diego Museum of Art, and it's part of them, it's part of what they own as well. So I would like the people to come back and see it, bring their families, have discussions, because what I found is there's a circular educational aspect. In other words, some of the young people will see something and they can relate to. Some of the older people would see something that they relate to, and then they have this conversation and they bring this circular education piece so they have a bigger understanding of their whole person, their whole personality. I mean, to me, this whole thing is about making black art, African American art, giving it to the culture of San Diego. Yes, the African American culture, but for the whole community of San Diego, and that's why we exist.
All right, Kaede Finney, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.